Hey guys, me again, doing a little work, a little prep work for the STI, getting ready for track day tomorrow. What I'm doing today is replacing the studs, the wheel studs on the rear of the car, which is a little bit tricky, and I wanted to point out some information that might help some of you who are about to do this. The reason why I'm extending the studs is, by the way, you do not want to double up spacers like this, is because I'm going to be installing some 10mm spacers in the back, which I've also done in the front. As you can see, they're right in there, and then just give you a little more aggressive track width on the car. So here in the front, I'm running the extended APR studs, and my intention was to do that also in the back. So this is one of the sides that's already been completed. These are not APR studs. You can tell in this particular model that I was looking to buy, because this does not have the conical head, but these are extended, and they're extended long enough to work with these 10mm spacers. If I were to go wider than that, then I would necessitate, is what I meant to say, longer spacers, just because you wouldn't have enough thread. So I'm just kind of putting this here so I don't misplace it. Let's go on the other side. So here on the other side, I've already replaced or taken out the factory studs, and ideally my intention, again, like I said, was to install the much larger APR stud, which is here at the bottom. You can see comes in at 3¼ inches more or less, and next to it you have the extended stud that I'm installing now with size comparison next to the factory stud, which is, if I'm going to do this kind of correctly, comes in right about 2 inches. So again, not a good idea to run spacers with these guys at all. Okay, so now here's what I discovered. In order to be able to insert the extended APR stud through this hub, you have to essentially remove this complete assembly. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, but on the other side I disconnected the axle nut and some nuts in here that are holding the hub, and I was able to pull this back and separate it, but not get enough clearance even after removing the whole brake assembly to slide this guys through. I wouldn't be able to get the tip anywhere near this orifice to pull it through. So what I did was I said, well, for the time being, I'm gonna run the other extended studs, which are just as good. You can tell by the nomenclature back here that these are high strength. So 10.9, it's a metric designation for bolt strength. So these are quite good. I'm pretty comfortable running those. This is the APR for comparison. It just has branding on it. See if we can get that to zoom in a little bit. So but anyway, these markings make me feel good, so they're okay. And what I did was, rather than taking this whole brake drum assembly out, I just removed the springs here at the top. So there's a spring there, and there's another spring that goes right in this hole. So there's a spring that goes from here to here, and then it's the same on both sides. You only just kind of need to do one side, and you want to do the side that's towards the back of the car. And the reason being is, and I'm going to try to get this on camera, there's that recess right there on the dust cover. I'm going to try to point it with my pinky right there, and you're going to use that, if you can kind of prop that in, to slide this guy in like I'm doing. Use that little bit of recess on there like so. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. And go in like this, line up the hole, and just push it through. In comparison, the APR will not go in without you having to remove or separate the hub. Even after removing these bolts here and the center nut, In my particular case, your mileage may vary. I would have needed some sort of press to pull this out, and it was just going to be a real hassle. And thinking about the future, if I ever need to replace one of these or an APR, by having this extension anyway, it's a lot easier, as you can see, to do the installation. You don't even need to separate these back, the tensioner or the spring. Just be careful it doesn't come out. And when you're finished, you just kind of wiggle this back in like so, fasten your springs, and there's many other videos out on YouTube to do this, and you can get the work done. So just don't lose any of those springs and you will be good to go. Be safe out there. And then again, the other thing is, when you tighten these things up, try to do them by hand. Do not use an impact wrench, because then you run the risk of damaging the indexing of the bolts, of the studs, and you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that it's seated, and then if you wish, you can use an impact. Anyway, that's it. I hope this is useful for somebody. It's not that bad if you have the right size studs and you don't have to remove the hub. So hope you found this useful. See you next time.